Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Power Play. Today, we're going to be talking about flipping houses. We're going to be talking about buying them, doing rehab, large rehabs, minor rehabs, what you should be looking for in 2022, houses you should flip versus what you should buy. So we've got the friggin' master flippers here. We got Gabe Rodarte and we got Marty Grisanti. And we're going to dive in, guys. By the way, before we get started, just a reminder, we are on every podcast platform. If you guys are getting it, go to Apple, go to iTunes, go to your favorite place, and you can get our podcasts as they're coming out. We're also on YouTube. Feel free to go there and subscribe, and we have other content being placed in those areas as well, whether you want to follow Marty or Gabe or myself. There's a lot going on, so feel free to check us out. So, Flipping Masters. How we doing, Marty? How we doing, Gabe? Marty, you want to kick us off? What's going on, man?
What's up, boys? So far, so good here. Sun shining in Rochester, New York, so it's always pleasant to see. You know, it actually made me sick the other day. I saw Gabe post something, and he was like, "Oh, it's 47. It's freezing. I'm at a soccer game. I'm so cold." I'm like, "It sounds like it's spring. It sounds like it's summer. You out of your mind?" No, things are going good, guys. Things are going good. It's good to see you both. Gabe, how are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad to be here. We're ready to get going and help out those who have questions. Can we ask, hey, if you guys have questions about flipping and wanting to know anything about flipping, or ask one of us a question about as we move forward, be free to ask those questions. We're here to help. That's why we do this whole thing, so we can give back to the community and help you guys.
Absolutely. And if you guys got a question, other people probably have questions too, right? Especially in this topic, there's a lot of moving parts when you buy a property and you flip it yourself. So any question is acceptable. So put it on there. So to kick us off, again, we're going to be talking about flipping houses going in. Marty, why don't you kick us off? Tell me about your experience diving in, buying these properties, flipping them. Why should we listen to you and what you're doing? What do you have going on in your realm?
No, that's a great question. You know, why flipping? I think flipping is a great way to get into real estate in general. I think it's a great way to learn business as well, because you really got to be good at both. And I'm sorry about my cat here. He's out of his mind. But, you know, for me personally, it was because we fell into this team, right? So for flipping, it's team sport. Well, at least for us. And that's probably why we've had so much success, is because there's a team and we all know our roles. But we can get into that a little later. But for why flipping, I think for number one is just, it's a great way to get into real estate. It's a great way to build up cash reserves. It's a great way of making a serious money. And I really highly suggest anyone who's interested in real estate to really dip your toe, or really go maybe all in flipping properties, because it really changed the game for us, and it opened up a lot of other doors. That's
good. Gabe, what about you? What's
guys, I had an experience of I come from the construction background. A lot of people know that, but those who don't. So, you know, when people say, wow, you had this awesome edge, and it really wasn't that great of an edge. The edge is I knew the ins and outs of everything on a house. But I didn't know how to buy a house. You know, I didn't know how to finance a home or do any of those other things. I had no clue how to sell a house, right? Or market conditions or any of those things. So, you know, I had to learn from a different perspective than most. And I was just on a call just now where someone's like, man, I don't know anything about the repairs. I'm like, the repairs are actually not that hard, right? It's scary. I get it. There's a scary part, but there was a scary for me to even purchase a home, right? And think about, okay, I got to sell it, and what happens. And so that's what I've learned. I would definitely want to go into the teamwork side of things, because we'll go into that. And we've been flipping for quite a long time, probably about 13 years. Is our experience of being in, helping properties move to the next stage and flipping them, doing them ourselves, all that stuff. So that's a little bit of our experience, and we still do it today. Not all the time, but not every property that we have, but we still have some right now. I think we have about 6 right now.
So Gabe, on your side, are you doing the majority of the properties you're buying? Are you guys wholesaling them, like putting under contract wholesale? Are you buying and actually flipping them out? Like what is your primary strategy? Is flipping what you're digging into from a ratio standpoint? What does that look like?
Yeah. So as far as the single family side of things, because we've been doing a lot more commercial lately, and we have a whole commercial arm of things that are happening. But as far as the single family, I would say I would have to look through the numbers specifically, but we are probably at a 50-50 split right now of us flipping a property, because we're in the Houston metro area. For those who don't know, I'm from Houston. Marty's doing upstate New York. Ronnie owns Michigan, right? And dominating that. Mark, our other power play partner, is in Florida. We have a super, I don't know how your guys' hot market is. Maybe we go over that. We just have a super hot market. It just makes more sense sometimes just to flip, right? And so that does require us locking down a property and then buying it and having the asset or having the money to close on that deal. So it's not so much wholesaling. But I really like that side, and it's just so natural for me that I move in that direction.
That's good. What about you, Marty?
Yeah, I think for us right now, just like Gabe said, the market's so hot. If you look at it, if you go to realtor.com or Redfin, Rochester, New York, literally is number one with the least amount of inventory in the United States.
Wow.
So we're licking our chops because this is go time for us. You know what I mean? Like we know what we can do. We can find deals, and we know what other people can't do, which is they don't want to get muddy and find those deals. So like I said, the team was so important because, Matt and Amber, my partners, God, how lucky I am, right? So lucky to have our interior designer and our realtor in one, being Amber, Matt being also a dynamite deal finder, money raiser, and oh, by the way, can swing a hammer. He doesn't do it anymore, but he did when we first started, and he gets the guys going. And I'm there really going, hey, pulling the list, getting the VAs going, getting the team going, finding the deals, right? So it really has become like more of an enterprise. It's not just a hobby where you fix and flip one house a year, but that's where a lot of people are, and that's okay. But what we decided to do is let's triple down on it and let's build this thing out as an actual business. So yeah, I think for us, the majority is the flip. Anything that doesn't make sense for us at the time, we will wholesale out to our buyers. But that's really our day to day. And here's a question, because I look at Ronnie and I go, hey, Ronnie, I know you have your business locked in. It's dialed in, and your team is really some of the best trained that I've seen. I've seen your training. I'm using it right now for my team. Why did you decide to go, hey, I got a great thing going here with my wholesaling across, a couple different states? What made you transition to thinking, maybe flipping is my thing?
Yeah. So just to kind of give an update, about in my career, about 70 to 80% of what I've done is wholesaling. We transitioned and we're starting to do a little bit more development, and I've got 4 projects happening currently that we just started. I hired my brother, who he's freaking awesome. He's been remodeling and doing construction for the last 10 years up in Alaska. I convinced him to move down to Michigan, and so he's taking on that. So the big reason why we jumped into wanting to build out the system of flipping has to come down to 2 things. One is we wanted to be able to maximize every opportunity. Someone told me in a mastermind that I'm a part of, they said, hey, if you're not flipping your own houses, like, you're missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I looked back and I basically went through my system and said, okay, here's all the wholesale deals. What are the fees that I made? And I went and called some of my buyers, and I looked at what their relist prices were and what they put into it, and how much money they had made on those properties. And what I found was the ARVs that we were putting out versus what they actually sold for were actually 2 different numbers, right? Everyone's trying to beat you up on the ARV, but what it actually sold for was more than our anticipated after remodel value, or it was a significantly less rehab. right? It was one of the two. And so I decided, you know what, I'm sourcing these deals. We have some capital. I've got some relationships that want to get involved in the game. I basically had people, you know, I had basically like about $500,000 of people are like, here's my money, please use it. And so I decided, you know what, instead of taking, you know, our average wholesale fee is anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. Instead of taking, you know, a $10,000 to $20,000 wholesale fee, if we could look and get into a property, turn around and flip it, and do $35,000 to $100,000 deals, we can do less deals, less amount of headache. Wholesaling is also harder because you've got a lot of logistics going on. You've got to manage the buyer, you've got to manage the seller, and you've got to do it on a time frame that works for both. And you know, one of the things we wanted to do as a company is we really wanted to capitalize on the tenant problem market, right? Especially in Michigan, there's not a lot of iBuyers. There's not a lot of like big, huge companies coming in that are servicing these people. And so there's kind of a gap. And so we decided, you know, what if we filled that void there? And if we did that, we could capitalize on profits in turn. I just bought one with tenant problems. We're evicting them. And that's potentially a $70,000 flip, right? On the back end, it takes a little bit of time to get them out. But that's where it goes, is it increases that profit margin so we can literally make double, potentially even triple the money with a third of the properties. And so that was my goal. There's a guy, we've mentioned him before, his name's Alex Hermosi. He talks about, you know, your $0 to $5 million mark is really, one product, one channel is what he talks about. And I think the idea of, okay, what's the most profitable thing that we can do? And then the other stuff, the wholesaling, the side, that's if it doesn't fit within a high profit margin, strategy. And it allows relationships to be built. You know, Gabe, I know you're big on relationships. One of the things that you get when you flip a house versus actually wholesaling is you actually start developing a whole lot more relationships, and you're more valuable to your network. And then that network, I'm actually finding, will refer me deals because I'm actually more valuable as a flipper than I am a wholesaler. Even though wholesaling is valuable, you're only valuable in one specific thing, which is giving people deals, right? So that's why I transitioned. So with that being said, are you guys sourcing your own deals? Are you finding them from somewhere else? Like getting into flipping, where would you say, hey, someone says, you know what, I want to flip 5 properties this year. Where should I start?
Yeah, I can take that, Gabe. You know, I think one of the things that I would do if I was starting over is become very good at finding the deals, or I guess I should say is off-market deals, and really learning how to source those yourself. See, the reasons why flippers fail is because they have to rely on other people. Now, there's nothing wrong with having those partnerships with wholesalers, but just like myself, I'm going to go to the highest bidder, right? If I'm going to be selling off a deal, there's relationships for sure, but you're still going to have competition there. So I would say number one is figure out a way where you can find off-market deals, sourcing off-market deals, and really being able to get that inventory that no one else has. You know, you're really creating a market. So that's super special. And I don't think a lot of people understand it. And that's good for you. Truthfully, that's good for you. You know, people beat their chest on things of like, oh, I would never do my own calling or never do my own marketing, or, you know, I'm waiting for that deal. Good luck. Keep waiting, and I'll be the one finding them. And that's the beauty of, I think, going after the off-market stuff. Gabe, I don't know about you. Like, what are your thoughts there? Because I'll tell you this, Gabe has a very interesting way of finding deals, and I'm super jealous of it, but he's worked very hard at it. Gabe, could you tell us about that, or go into?
Sure. Let me tell you guys my secret.
Yeah.
So as far as flipping goes, I really like what you said though, Marty, about the fact that you gotta source your own stuff, right? And as a guy who started off in flipping, I didn't understand that, right? And then once I realized that you actually have, like, I tell people this, I know everyone has their own view, but you really own a marketing company in a sense. Like, you know, once you start getting into the actual purchasing of properties, you're realizing that, you know, acquiring assets is a lot of marketing, right? You have a marketing branch of your company, and that needs to have a brand, and you need to know, you know, people need to know who you are, and they need to know you're the buyer, and they need to know what you're buying. You have a criteria, and you're setting it up before people, and you're always reminding them, you're always telling them. And then that's for the realtor community if you're trying to buy through off-market realtors, and then that's through the going direct to seller, and you're telling the seller, you know, and so you're kind of vetting the seller if it's a, you know, like, you might not be the right seller for me, you know, and then they're going, wait a minute. What do you mean? Like, well, it's just kind of how it goes. Right. And so that's something that I had to understand, guys. I don't know if that like clicked for you, but that's because I came from a place of always flipping houses. I didn't even know I was flipping before wholesaling. I didn't know wholesaling. I didn't know what it was. And so until I started buying from wholesalers, I'm going, wow, there's some off market. Well, let's see if I could source them myself, and let's start learning them. How do I get more of these? And so that's how we do ours now compared to in the beginning. Yes, there was a time where I almost wanted to quit because I'm like, I don't know how to find any more properties. This isn't going to, like, how do I do this? Like we're going to go broke because I didn't know how to acquire more. And then we just kind of learn from there.
That's really good. That's really good. So, guys, tip number one, if you're looking to flip houses, like, you don't have to self-source them, but if you self-source your properties, you have a much bigger pool to choose from and the types of houses that you want to buy, right? It also gives you the opportunity. You can always wholesale those houses that you don't necessarily feel comfortable in, right? If you find a house that's a $70,000 remodel and you don't feel comfortable managing a $70,000 remodel, you can wholesale that to another investor and you can create that relationship, right? You could even wholesale it for a cheaper price. Say, hey, can I walk alongside of you? Can I manage this project for you? Or can I do whatever? And they get a better deal, and you might get, you know, some experience or some other things. There's ways to work that out. So, all right. So what types of things are you looking to do? What is your, like, when you buy a property, are you doing big rehabs? Are you doing small rehabs? Are you doing, like, is it cosmetic only? Is there things you stay away from? Like, give us the details of the property, because when you're flipping houses, the property is a lot more important
on it
than when you're doing other things. Sorry, my Siri picked me up. Marty, you want to take that? You want to start us off?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think in the beginning, we were very much cosmetic, right? We didn't really have and what I mean by cosmetic flips is really, it's a kitchen, a bath, it's painting and floors, right? That's typically what we look at when we think of cosmetic, normally under like $50,000 worth of rehab. And I think what's happened is, out of necessity, we've also got into those large, you know, gut rehabs that we've had to do. If the ARV is there, and also if you got that feeling, if you got that little special feeling inside your stomach that goes, you know, I think there's something here. I think we can do it, you know, and that's worked out for us. But I will say it did start off as a cosmetic. Hey, is there a way we can maybe hotel this, which is just, you know, it's like a clean out, so to speak. We've actually never really had success doing those. We found that when we do them, and we do them fully, and we do them the right way, and we really put the time and money into the property, it's going to work out. And it has. And again, that's because of a team that we've had with our interior decorator, who is Amber, and knows what to buy and picks out the colors. And just, those are things that, for a guy like me and a lot of the flippers, which is a very heavily male dominated industry, you need that person on your team that can do that for you. So yeah, it kind of out of necessity went into those full remodels, which now we look forward to because we know not a lot of people want them.
Gabe?
What was the question?
So when people are getting into them, the types of houses that you're actually remodeling, right? Are you
What are we
doing
flipping?
big projects, little projects? What would you say the biggest meat on the bone is for you getting into it? Is there a certain ARV? Like, what does that criteria look like? How does a house say, boom, that's one I want to buy and get?
So we used to do, I used to do everything to every property, right? For a while there. So we were, redoing cabinets. We were make sure that everything was redone, from floors. This wasn't just, flooring and painting. It was flooring, painting, bathrooms, all bathrooms were redone, all fixtures were redone, all plumbing was redone, all light fixtures are redone. Everything is redone. I am in a unique place where the market just goes up. We have a property that 5 months ago, I thought ARV was 260, maybe 265. All right. This is one of my rental properties. Right now, there's a house that just went out there for 320. Same comps. Like, it's an actual comp. It looks almost identical to my house. So I'm going, okay, how much more can I get? Right? For if I go and rehab the crap out of this thing, if I drop 45K on this thing, how much more can I get for my dollar? Knowing what this other property just pushed the limit $25,000 over what I can even imagine is reasonable. So we're in a unique market right now, but before this market, it would be make sure that you're the better looking house in the neighborhood. I want all eyes on me. I want the best buyer that's out there. I don't want some buyer that's just going to come and leave me hanging, because I've done that plenty of times, had buyers I want the best of the best buyer to come after my property. And how you do that is you want your property, you either price it really low. For those who don't know, you either price it below market, maybe 5%. Right now, you only have to go about 5% below market. And you're going to have droves of people coming in and checking your property out. Okay. Maybe 10% in some rougher homes. Or you swing for the fences, some stuff that Marty was talking about. You have some cool stuff going on and you push that number all the way up and it doesn't even matter. Right. And now everyone's shopping for this property and everybody is like, there's droves of people coming up to that property. Right.
That's really good. And I think depending on where you're at in the country and depending on the market, I'm finding that markets are not the same, guys, right? If you're in Houston, that's a different experience than if you're in Michigan, okay? Specifically Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's a different experience than Rochester, New York.
Right.
So I'm going to take this a little bit different way, maybe spice things up a little bit and ask a different type of question that may or may not be related. So we'll see.
We like spice.
Yeah.
Let's get some salsa in here. Let's get some pica.
What do you guys think of NFTs connecting to flip properties?
Here we go. Marty?
I love it. I was actually just on the phone today with Red Swan, which is a company that tokenizes real estate. And I'm excited about it. I think it will change the game. Why I love NFTs for real estate specifically is because how archaic the laws are in New York State. It should not take 60 days to close on a property. Should not. This is insane. I shouldn't have to, when I close on a property, especially with flipping, right? I close on it, I do the work, and then I'm going to resell it. Why does it have to take another 3 to 4 weeks to run title? I just did it. Right. So there's a lot of New York New York and California are the worst states to flip. It's almost impossible to have a scalable business flipping here because of how long things take. So you can't really ever adjust or really be ready for when the next closing will be. But I am ready for it. Whatever is going to completely obliterate the market. And what I mean by that is, hey, if you lose your job as a real estate attorney, sorry. Like, it takes too long. You guys got to figure it out. And you could have figured it out years ago. So I'm ready for it. As you can tell, I'm amped up.
Yeah, absolutely. Gabe, what do you think? I know you dabble a little bit. What do you think on that? Any thoughts?
I love every bit of it. Thank you, Marty, for sending that link. We should put it in there, redswan.io. I think that this is going to change stuff. I think this is not the first conversation that if this is the first time you've heard about it, it could sound overwhelming of going, oh, I don't really understand how it all works. Reality is we already have a lot of the stuff already integrated into most of our businesses. We just don't know it. And it just takes some other design and some other people that see and have the foresight of putting all the pieces together. And some of these companies are coming together and they're putting these things, they're just merging the puzzle pieces together that are already out there, and they're supplying the need that has been around for decades. This need has been around for decades. So it is a booming thing. And I think we're not gonna, this is just the beginning. We're just in the beginning phases.
And I think from the beginning, I think one of the biggest opportunities, at least initially, is when it comes to AR, right? Being able to interact with the real world virtually. So think of it this way, right? Like we're remodeling a house, and your contractor can go out there and he can use AR to say, hey, what do you think about this? Right. And they can circle it and they can show you what it is. And then you can virtually go in and say, hey, I want 1, 2, and 3, tag it to the house via AR. And then boom, you're picked up and your contractor knows what to do. I think from flipping, a lot of people think, hey, real estate is, this, but how many times do you guys, I have guys at a property literally right now, and they're like, hey, what do you want to do with this? Right. And so you jump on the phone and you're like, okay, send me, like, do a FaceTime for me. Right. Where if you can interact in that space in real time via AR, I think that is a huge opportunity for us. And I think is a way for us to potentially have costs lower and interact and keep people more accountable, being able to see that project in real time. Now, let's transition. I want to spice things up there a little bit because I've been doing some research myself.
Well, Ronnie, real quick, while you're talking about it, just think of how easy it is to get quotes from contractors if they could just step into the house from their office.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So all those cost savings that could happen, a realtor can pop in and go, yeah, I would do this, this, and this, and then you could sell it, whatever it might be. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy things going on, and I'm open to it. I hope other people are, because it's what the future is kind of pointing us to. So yeah, I'm all about it.
100%. Well, and on top of that, you can, if let's say you have an interior designer, like you're saying, or a realtor or someone who stages your home, you could step in and have a menu list and literally hit the button and put it up on this thing. And you'll be able to see, hey, this is what this mirror in this bathroom is going to look like. Hey, this is what this light is. Hey, we want to actually take this and do it the alabaster Sherwin-Williams paint. Boom, put that on the walls. And now you can see, oh, we like this. This is the current designer. Hey, let's go to Joanna Gaines and see what she has and grab her list and throw that here. Oh, that's a really cool Butcher Bach Island. Let's do that. Well, and what it allows us as people who are not designers, it allows us to tap into things that we can see. Right now, I don't have an interior designer on my team, but we do have a realtor who stages and is up to date on the trends. She's amazing. But she came out and it's like, hey, this is what you want to do. So when you're flipping, there's really two options that I look at. Do I want to wholesale this house? And in terms of, do I want to do a first deal wholesale, which is remove all the nasty crap, fix a couple things, and then list it as is on the market. Right? This allows a homeowner or another investor who might be a buy and hold investor to come in and buy this property at a discount, but it's not an off-market discount. Right? Because there's low inventory, you can get homeowners who can't afford a $300,000 house, but they can afford a $260,000 house that's as is, and they can fix it up themselves over time. Right? That can get a conventional loan if it'll pass a 4-point inspection. That is the buyer, right? So you do just a minimum, you remove all the crap, you make sure it'll pass a conventional loan, and then you put it up on the market at a discount under what the ARV would be. Right? That's one option. Number two is doing the full remodel, where you actually want to design the property, especially if you're crossing that $250,000, $300,000, $450,000 mark or higher. If you guys want to play in that realm, is now you really do need that interior design. You do need to know, hey, gray is moving out of style, right? Like you want to know that if you're buying and you're going to flip a $600,000 house, right? You're going to, oh, you know what? We're moving to more tans. Hey, the floors are transitioning slightly to blank, and you want to know what direction to move to. And I think the interaction that you have on your team and that designer is very important to make sure you're able to pull out the value. And from a crypto side, right? From a metaverse, from an AR, from all that stuff, the ability as for technology to kind of replace that, I think you guys should be looking at, because I think it's an opportunity for us to see. Think of how many times we watch shows and you get to see the design of the home before they do it. How much better would that be for us as flippers, and being scared of the construction and what it's going to look like and is it going to look good? Well, now I can see it and go after it. And guys, I would recommend, once you get in the game and you're looking at flipping, figure out what you want houses to look like and put your unique spin on it, right? What are things that truly add value in the sense of, what are people looking for? Are they looking for home offices? Well, then one area in your house, get a staging company to make it look like a home office and then market it that way. Hey, it's 3 bedrooms and a home office, right? It's 4 bedrooms and a small office under the stairs, whatever that looks like. And it's a way of attracting and increasing that price. Any thoughts on that? I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I'll hit that up. Hey, I like that. You know, I like to see that. I like to see when you're looking at your property and you're buying it, and like, what do you want to flip it at? What do you want to do? And we do across the spectrum. You know, there we have some properties that I'll probably move really fast, make really a decent return on, which is going to be really good by basically putting in flooring and putting in paint. Right. We have other stuff that we're doing. You know,
it's just a small rehab is what you're saying.
Most people would consider that a small rehab. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most people would go, oh my goodness. Then you have stuff that I've realized lately. There's certain additions that you can do to a house. Maybe like for our area, maybe like a barn door over the pantry, you know, type of deal. Or, you know, we're like Waco is blowing up because of Chip and Joanna Gaines. Right. So that's over here. Like people, that's only like a 2.5 hour drive for people. So they can go over there and they're going, oh my gosh, I want that in my own house. So simple little things like that, slated walls, you know, where you have shiplap walls, stuff like that. You could use old, you know, the cool thing right now, guys, if you want to do something really cool that's cheap and you got to replace fencing anywhere, get the fencing. Have one of your crew members clean up the fencing, like just, you know, pressure wash it, clean it or whatever to where there's dirt off of it. Grab the fencing and you could have your painter paint the fencing and throw it up on an accent wall in the kitchen or something like that. And that right there, and you go side slatted, and that right there is enough accent and it cost nothing. You just spent $400 the most, and someone goes, oh my gosh, this is a cool style to this home, and people like it, and it's current, and it's what people like, right? That's it. It doesn't cost that much more. So certain things like that. And then of course, you know, when it comes to the bathrooms and stuff, you guys really want to make the biggest bang for the buck. The reality is, if you have a really cool laundry room or cool bathroom, with the cool, the unique styles that's happening, the mosaic styles that are happening with the flooring. Everyone's kind of doing that right now. Same thing with bathrooms. You have cool things in the bathrooms. The tile, if you look at it, is only 80 to 120 square feet that you're buying, right? Unless you're doing like a really big bathroom, but most bathrooms are 3x5s, right? Where the tub used to be. And so you're just doing some cool stuff there. It doesn't cost you that much more, and you're popping out. Like ridiculously popping out compared to all of the comps because of all the neighbors, and they're going, what would I rather do? What would I rather have? You know, so it's not just having the getting the most bang for the buck. You want to deal with less junk. You want 4 or 5 realtors calling you going, I got the best buyer. You want to be able to vet these people and go, you know, which one is the best buyer, right? You want to have that control over your property and get the best dollar amount. So that's what I've seen in some of the stuff that we're doing. I don't know. So what about you, Marty? What you got going on?
Yeah, I think also, like you said, Gabe, I think by doing those things, you're going to build a good reputation for yourself as someone who is a, you know, provider of housing that's been completely refixed up, right? I mean, flips already have a connotation to them when they're being shown. So you really want to make sure you're setting a precedent for your work and letting people know, like, we don't mess around. Like this is a complete remodel. It's not a flip. It's a remodel. So it's, I think it's really, it's important to do. It's important to make sure that you're standing out and sticking out to the best of your abilities. I did see this question, guys. I thought we should answer it. So do you guys always 1031 exchange your flips? Thank you. You guys rock. Well, I appreciate that. I can't see who sent this, but thank you for that. So 1031 exchanging, that's really, you only want to do that and step in here, Ronnie and Gabe. But if you're netting something over like maybe like $1 million, so other than that, just because of like what it entails, and it still costs money to, okay, Jose, thanks, buddy. The money that it costs to set it up and everything, you really want to be dealing with something like around $500,000 to $1 million net. So typically on a flip, you're going to make 30 to 100,000. So my answer is absolutely not. No 1031 exchanging on a regular flip. No.
100%. I don't 1031 exchange the flips either. So that's usually a lot bigger money. You see that a lot more in commercial, or when people are pulling out, like they're offloading a whole bunch of properties and then they're going to go into something bigger, right? That's typically where I see it. Gabe, do you have, I know you're dealing a little bit more with 1031 exchanges than we are. Any other thoughts on that?
Typically you're taking something that you have, you're taking a long-term property. You're not typically taking something that's short-term, right? So flips are typically, they're short-term things. You're making cash. That's the goal. Just know that when you're flipping, you're paying the highest taxes that you can pay, right? You're paying some high taxes on flipping. All right. That's just how flipping is. You're not doing flipping to create wealth,
right?
Long-term wealth or anything like that. You're doing the flipping to get the cash so you can go and create more wealth. That's the idea of flipping. If you're doing flipping, and we're going to say this for the whole thing, because this is a real estate power play, guys, we want to help you take things to the next level. If you're doing flipping to go buy a brand new truck, buy a brand new car, to go buy something brand new, you might be doing it wrong. All right. If you're doing wholesaling to just get that cash so you could go buy cool things, you might not see the whole point of what this industry is about. This industry is about wealth accumulation over the course of time. This is not wealth accumulation in the next 6 months, right? If you need to do that to offload some debt and move on and get some other stuff, restabilize your business, restabilize your life. That's how I started. It restabilized everything for me. My life was transformed doing flipping and wholesaling and the beginning parts of the short term, getting that money in. But keep in mind, we're doing this. This is the pros of flipping. You're accumulating cash. We have a great market right now to do it, so you can move it into other assets, right? And you can choose whatever that may be. But that's the goal of what we want to help people do. And typically we deal with people that are looking at wholesaling or JV with Marty or Ronnie. If you're in those areas, connect with them, because they will help you get that foundation so that way you can be that wealth accumulator.
That's amazing, man, because it really is. It's an opportunity to, the step number one is, how can I make 20 grand a month, right? How can I get to the point where my life is free, where I have options to educate myself more. I have options to be able to put my cash in things that can grow. But if you can get to 20 grand a month, right? From 20 grand a month, now all of a sudden you have lots of different opportunities. You have lots of options to say, okay, how do I really want to build my wealth? What direction do I want to go? What community do I want to be a part of? Right? Like there's different communities, there's different masterminds, there's different groups of people, there's different expertise. And you get to ask yourself, okay, which group do I want to be a part of? Where do I want to see my long-term future? Flipping is a low barrier way into that, right? So one, you got to look at, how can I see more properties? How can I get leads, whether they're off market or another direction, right? Find the house that you want to invest in. Then pull the trigger. Right? Once you've looked at it, analyze the deal, pull the trigger, buy that deal, and then go through the process. You're going to learn a whole bunch. I just spoke to a wholesaler up in Muskegon not too long ago. He's like, man, I was thinking about it for a while. I put the deal on a credit card. I went all in, got hard money. I literally did all my rehab on a credit card on like 5 credit cards. He's like, dude, I almost ran out of money. And when it was said and done, I finished it. I sold the property, and I made $80,000, right? Before that, he'd only made, like, I think he said like $3,700 a month, right, at his normal job. And
that's transformative, man. That's amazing,
right? And all of a sudden, he has this big chunk of cash, And he's like, man, okay, how can I turn this into a business? Right? From his standpoint, he's like, I just went through 8 months of just craziness. Okay, I got an idea. How can I turn this into a business? And I think if you guys can have that mentality of, let me find something, let me get into it, let me go through it. Here's the narrative for every successful entrepreneur. And I'm not telling everyone to be an entrepreneur, but you can make a lot of money in this space. Is your first 5 years, there's no way to not make mistakes. You can learn from Gabe, you can learn from us, you can watch Real Estate Power Play, you can watch YouTube, you can learn it all. But when you jump in, like, stuff's going to happen and it's okay. Right? That's how you get your feet from under you. And as you go through your first one, your second one, your 10th one, your 20th deal, you're going to look back and be like, dang, I made a whole bunch of mistakes, but look at not only the skills I've learned, the money I've made, but look at where I've taken my life in 24 months. And that you're going to be a different person. You're going to meet up with an old friend you haven't met with for 5 years. And they're like, dude, what have you been doing? You're like, dude, 2 years ago, I jumped into this. My whole life exploded, right? I didn't know what I was getting into. I don't even know if I'd do it again, but it's sweet now. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that journey is going to look like as you're jumping in. So, so Gabe, as someone who's, you've been doing this for 13 years, right? You've been doing this for a long time. I know when you started, you didn't have anything, right? Like, you got started, you said, hey, I bought my first deal. And
we didn't have jack, bro.
You didn't have jack.
We didn't have jack.
Lived under a bridge, right? No. Like, what would someone who's jumping in, they want to start flipping the homes. They might not be brand new, but they're nervous. They're afraid. They don't know exactly, like, what would you recommend? Man, your first 4 steps are blank. And what are some key things they need to watch out for?
Geez. Okay. First 4 steps. 1, get educated by grab some audiobooks. I'll find some books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then Cash Flow Quadrant are the top 2 that I advise everyone to get to, because it gives you the mindset of why you're doing stuff. That normally helps change people's perspective. All right. Then if you want to get into some flipping books, stuff like that, 2, you have our podcast, you have Bigger Podcasts, you have contacts like that. You can contact all of those people within these podcasts. Like, just ask questions. That's easy. Don't let your ego be so much that you can't ask questions. Like, just ask.
Jump into the conversation.
Yeah. I know a guy over here. He just asked tons of questions. He's blowing up, just doing really well. And he only started like 10 months ago. He's just doing amazing by asking questions. And he's like, I'm surprised how welcoming this community of investors are. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you're a authentic person and you just want to level up, we've all been there. So the other thing is, try to build a network. Like I was mentioning, you build a network. You could go online and find different networks through just Facebook and the Facebook groups, Instagram groups, but really it's more of like Facebook groups that you're building relationships through. We have our own group that you can ask questions through. And the thing that helped me was really learning how to JV partner, which is called, for those who don't know, a joint venture or partnering on a specific deal. And that's what took me to the next level.
Why? Why did that take you to the next level?
Because the level I was at, I only had so much knowledge for accomplishing a transaction, and I was too nervous and I didn't want to lose. Right. So that's why the reason why we don't really do things, analysis paralysis, right? I didn't want to lose, but I didn't know how to do it, and I wanted to win. So I had to be around someone who's won before. And so I was like, hey, who else has won in these areas? Can you help me? And I brought them deals and I flipped deals. Like, I was the flipper, like kind of like with Matt and Marty, And then we started, I started growing from there. And then I started flipping more with other people, JV partnered. I brought money, or they brought money, or I brought a lender, like different ways that we structured different deals. And then the reason why this is so important is exactly what Marty was saying. Not Marty, but Ronnie was saying in the beginning of, when you do a flip, you have a different database of people and different relationships. And some of those relationships of lenders are now my lenders on my multifamily, my commercial, my mobile home parks, and my other things that I'm doing. I would never have saw that.
Yeah.
So the power of a seed planted today, you just have to have faith, right? That it's going to freaking do great, that you're going to do this thing and it's going to happen. And by JVing, by joint venturing, I got to build relationships with good people. Now, you could get screwed over in certain areas, vet the person. I get it.
Right.
But those people will always be friends because we won. You know, it's being in the trenches with somebody. You won. It's like winning a championship. You know, you'll always have that team, right? That's like, man, we won. Remember when we won? Yeah, that was cool. And it's freaking 30 years ago, right? And you'll always have that person in your corner, and you always have that great relationship. The thing that I would watch out for, I would say watch out for the source of information you're acquiring from. If you're noticing that the energy that you're getting is more one-sided and the person's just kind of like me, help me, this is what you could do, it's only about me, and they're not really giving back, then find someone who's willing to be a giver, right? Because they understand the concept of abundance and they're willing to help you level up. So there you go, guys.
McDonald's, because I'm surrounded by nuggets right now. This is crazy. Listen, this is crazy.
Oh my gosh, dude. What is this?
Just gave
is this
us.
Chick-fil-A?
Where are we? No, seriously. A couple things. I'll do a shortcut. Gabe just told you a bunch of stuff. Here's a shortcut. He told you what to do. Go with winners. There's winners that are doing this already. Okay. And try to be around them, whatever that means. Get around them and try to add value and be around people who are already doing it at a high level and get a little bit of that rub off from them. And that is how you just absolutely take it from 0 to 100. That's how you skip a few steps, because you're going to go right around the people. They're going to, just because you're around them, they're going to give you stuff because they're typically givers. The ones that are winners, they're typically givers. So they're going to help you. I'll tell you this story. I had a guy that kept asking me for coffee. I went out, great, had a great time. And at that moment, there was a deal I just, for some reason, didn't want to do, and I gave it to him. And I'm not saying because I'm a giver, but he happened to be the right place at the right time. It came across my desk at that moment, and I go, dude, you've been wanting this forever, here. And you know, he's taking it down, he's flipping it. And it probably should have been one that I did. Right? It probably should have been one that I did. But that's just the power of, like what Gabe said. And I've had this happen to me so many times where you're just around winners and they give you something. And you didn't even ask for it. They just gave it to you, and you're like, holy crap, what am I doing? And now it makes me want to give more, right? So, yeah, be around winners, and it's going to typically rub off on you.
So good. That's so good. Because when people are in the game and you're around other individuals, opportunities come, right? And when you're in the right network, if you're around the right people, opportunities come. And I can't take advantage of every opportunity, right? Marty can't take advantage of every opportunity. Gabe, he's not going to take advantage of every opportunity. That doesn't mean it's a lesser opportunity. You just might be positioned in a spot where it's better for you than it is for Gabe. Gabe might have 2 mobile home parks going on. He's developing this, and he's got 3 lenders breathing down his neck because he's in 15 projects, right? And he's like, yo, this property could make me 40 grand, but I need to realize some of this other stuff. And then he's like, hey, this seller really needs help. Can you go talk to him? Right? Like, and then all of a sudden, you know, Jim Bean, who he's talking to, is like, oh yeah, I'll talk to him. And then he goes there, and Jim Bean makes $25,000 and changes his life, all because he's in the same room and went to Gabe's networking event, right? And Gabe was surrounded by 15 people and was like, yo, go talk to that guy. He needs some help. And then you walk over there, and all of a sudden, you know, 2 weeks later, you're in a deal making, you know, more money than you've made in the last 6 months. And that's how that stuff works. Like, it's crazy. I was just doing a closing literally today. The title company guy came in. This right here is a phone number to a lender. He's like, hey, Ronnie, this guy's really cool. His name's Chuck. Give him a call. I called him right away. Called him up. I was like, hey, Chuck, Nate gave me your phone number, blah, blah, blah. What do you do? And we started talking. He's a private lender, right? He lends on both rentals and flips, and, you know, not at ridiculous hard money prices too. So all of that is just I mean, that's just an opportunity. I'm sitting here, I'm going out to lunch with the owner of the title company, and he's like, hey, you need to connect with this guy. And it's like, okay, cool. That's how it works. And that's why being in the flipping business is so powerful, is because Nate has seen me close. I mean, I probably closed 50 properties with him, right? Just in the last year, year and a half, 2 years. And so he's like, hey man, you need to be connected with these people. And then all of a sudden you're having a different conversation because you're taking care of people. So cool. All right. We're in our final minutes, guys. Final golden nugget from this episode. What is the number one real estate power play move we've talked about or have not talked about in regards to flipping that you want to drop the power play on these guys? Guys, also, before we go, remember to like us, subscribe, go to our Facebook channel and like us. We're also on YouTube, so check it out and do that. And then every Thursday, our podcast comes out every single Thursday morning. Check it out, and we'll do that. And we're live here on Tuesday. So without that, final nugget, Marty.
Here's something that I would do that if I could have gone back, I would have done. And I'm doing it now. So that kind of tells you. As soon as I would have made money, I would have put it right into self-education. I wouldn't have bought the stuff that I bought. I wouldn't have bought the watch. I wouldn't have bought the clothes. I wouldn't have bought that stuff. As soon as I made money, I would have taken all that money until I was a multimillionaire and put it into education and becoming better all around as a person, with whatever that means to you. But typically for me, it's education. It's some sort of masterminds, because you take a step back to go up 20 when you do stuff like that. Yeah, you had an idea where you're going to put that 10 grand into a down payment on a vacation or a car or a new car. I would have just absolutely put every single dollar into becoming the best Marty that I could have been 5 years ago. Because I'm now doing that, and I'm seeing the results. And I hope that might sound crazy to some people, going, oh my God, I can't believe you would put $10, $20, $30,000 into education, even though you're already doing it. I'm telling you, it will be a game changer. It will be a 10X for your life. That's what I will say.
Awesome.
That's cool. And then, Ronnie, I want to hear yours too. My main thing that I would encourage everyone is to understand the power of speed. Not speed with lackadaisical, let's rush, not hastiness, but speed with knowledge and understanding. Most of the people that I have to help out of a tough situation with flips is because they didn't understand the power of timing. They might have missed out on some timing, or their contractors are taking too long, or, stuff like that is going on with their property, or, a week has gone by and they haven't even done a clean out yet. And they're wondering what's going on. And I'm telling you, I mean, even the hedge funds, they got people in there the very next day after closing, cleaning stuff out. Right. So, I mean, all of that stuff, the opportunity cost of the dollar, you have to look at yourself as this. And this is I get ramped up when talking to Marty, because we can just ramp up over going. If you were to have let's say you made the 80K and you knew that $10,000 of that is going to go into personal education, that's going to get you around a different circle of people. And by being around that different circle of people, you're going to be able to 10X the 80K, right? So that's 800 grand. Would that put a little bit more fire underneath you to get that deal done quicker? Would that put a little bit more fire on you to go and say, hey, I need to get my contractors over there the next day after we close? Right? Would it put you fire to have a better system or a better process for the next flip that you're doing, or to have some other things set up to where the flooring guy's not going, hey, there's no flooring here, or like, hey, the other stuff that we ordered didn't really come through, and none of that stuff. We're talking about your life. We're talking about your livelihood and the power of that. And I don't think that people understand how valuable that hour or that day or that week really is, because the opportunity, this is where I lost, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, there's a deal that I'm like, man, I just let that deal get away. Right. And we did everything we could to catch up and just get this deal off the books, because we just couldn't, Marty was talking about a deal that they had. You know, it's like, oh, we had to pivot this, and we had to pivot this, and we had to pivot that. And the reality is the problems are going to come up. Most people go into, they're looking at that bottom dollar going, I'm going to make 80K. And they're not going into it going, okay, but what's the project for this week? And the power of the timing to make sure that the project of this week has to start on that Monday to make sure everyone's lined out. And so that is where I've seen as a contractor, people miscalculate in thinking they have, well, my contractor's 2 days late, it's okay. Or, oh, this guy's not showing up. And I'm like, okay, get rid of him and find another guy. Like, what are we talking about here? That just postponed it. Well, you know, it only postponed 2 days. No, these people take off on Saturday and Sunday. That's 4 days, right? And if that guy's not ready for Monday, right, and they do that again, now they're not starting till Tuesday or Wednesday, right? So now we're looking at 6 days. And that 6 days, you do that 3 or 4 times in a deal, and now you just miss the timing of putting this thing on the market. And now you just have another month or even 2, right, of holding costs and other stuff. And now your money's gone. And now that's not an 80K flip. That's like a 45 or 40K flip. And then you're going back. And then this is the powerful part that then you're going back and saying, I don't have time to put, Marty, I don't have 10K or 5K to put into my self-education. And if you would have just looked at it and said, hey, and I'm ranting a little bit, but guys, I do this on a daily basis and I help people. And I'm going, if you could just value your time, you'll have that money to invest back into yourself. Just value yourself and go, I'm going to bet on myself today. Everyone else might not bet on me, but today I'm going to bet on me. And for me to bet on me, I need my contractor, Mario, I need you to be here today at this time because it affects everything else.
Boom. I love it. I love it. Here's what I would say, guys, is take advantage of the opportunities while the opportunities are available. Right? Right now, there's lots of opportunity available. There's people want to lend money. Companies want to lend money. People want to do your work. Prices are high and people are paying stuff. People want to be around real estate. People want housing. You know, it's if you're afraid now, if it's not that if you're having a hard time, but it's while the opportunity is hot, take advantage of the opportunity because it's only going to get harder when the market shifts. Right? A lot of people are saying, hey, let's wait for the downturn. What's going to happen is in the downturn, people are going to get out of the business because it's going to be hard, a lot harder than you anticipate, right? If you think it's hard now getting in and doing deals and jumping in, it's going to be harder, right? So jump in and get some exercise a little bit, right? And as you do, 3 things are going to happen. Your skills are going to go up. Right? The skills you have, you're going to develop all kinds of little stuff. You're going to be negotiating on things we haven't even talked about, right? In the midst of deals. So your skills are going to go up in a variety of areas. Your beliefs on what is possible and not possible are going to change, right? It's going to change. If you thought, man, how am I ever going to make $100,000 a year? You're going to be like, oh man, if I do 1, 2, and 3, I can make 200, right? Your beliefs are going to change, right? Oh, I got to be looking out. Everyone's trying to screw me too. No, everyone's trying to pull together and help me, right? Your belief system will change. And then the third thing that's going to happen is when you throw yourself in the deep end, and there's a book called The 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. And the first rule he talks about, stand up straight with your shoulders back, right? The last thing I would say is you're going to develop some additional character traits where you can stand up and you can be like, you know what, on this totem pole, I'm doing better. I'm higher up. I'm interacting with some people that I want to be like. And you're going to be able to stand up straight and you're going to be able to walk into a room and say, you know what, I'm the guy who gets through deals. I'm the guy who finds the properties to invest in. You want my wholesale deals when I don't flip them, right? Hey, I'm the guy. And that's what's going to happen is you're going to develop some character traits that other people want to be around. And those character traits are very, very powerful. So I would say, guys, jump in, right? Jump in right now. Make sure you
Jump
got a
in.
good deal and go from there. So, all right, guys, it is the end. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Again, it's Real Estate Power Play. We come to you live every Tuesday. Until next time, peace.
See ya.